Good morning, everyone. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Grand Traverse. My name is Beth Strawbridge, and I serve this congregation as a member of the Sunday Services Committee. We are grateful for this opportunity to be together in community, whether you are here in the sanctuary or you are joining us online. Welcome. We are delighted to have Reverend Alex back with us. He has had a very busy summer, attending the UUA General Assembly, being on sabbatical, and getting married. You are invited to a celebratory coffee hour after the service in honor of Connor and Reverend Alex's wedding. Today is also special because it is Water Communion Sunday. In our water ritual, we bring water from places we live in or places we have visited, and we pour it into one container. All of the water mixes together, and every drop has some of the molecules of every place. In the same way, this church brings together people from many places. If you are visiting today or are new to the congregation and are willing, we invite you to stand and introduce yourselves. We'll bring you a microphone so that you can be heard by the people streaming at home. Is there anybody over here?
Hold your hand higher. Thank you. I have glasses on, but they don't appear to work.
Hi, I'm Rosemary Czar. My wife and I lived here years ago, and we live in Las Vegas now. We're part of the UUCLV out there.
I'm Nancy, the other half.
Good morning, I'm Patricia Compton, and I am Barbara Bleart's spouse, and I am here visiting with her today and hear wonderful things about all of you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emma Rosie. I've been here many times before. My parents are members of the congregation, and my art is hanging, and I'm actually a retired water scientist, so it's really nice for me to be here. So thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Ann Kelly, and I'm here with my mother from downstate, Nancy Doty. So glad to be here.
Is there anyone else? Oh.
Hi, I'm Alice Osting, and I'm here with my boyfriend, Lynn McLean. He's from Troy, Michigan. I live in Brooklyn, Michigan. Greetings from Gretchen. And we're here camping, and we've been a couple times before, and we're glad to be back.
Hi, I'm Paula Hartman. I was a member here for years, 5 years ago when I moved away, and I just moved back. So this is my first time back here. Don't remember names, but I remember faces. One name.
Anyone else? Well, welcome to all of you. We are so happy to have you with us here today. And we invite you to join us in the social hall after the service for celebration and refreshments. And those of you visiting, if you take a yellow mug, it will help us identify you, and we'll be able to greet you personally. We look forward to getting to know all of you. Sharing our joys and concerns with our community helps us stay connected in caring and in celebration. For those of you here in the sanctuary, there is a book to your left by the candles where you can enter your message during the first hymn. Reverend Alex will read from the book later in the service, so you are encouraged to write legibly. To express those joys and sorrows that you may be holding in your heart, you are invited to light a candle at any time during the service. We are about to enter sacred time. As we start our service, I invite you to set aside the busyness of your daily life. Please turn off or silence your cell phones so that we might bring our full attention to our time together. And center yourselves while listening to the music from the Muldar, played by Barbara Young. The centering music today is a collection of excerpts from the Muldar River by Smetana. This collection features the following section titles: River Source, Calm Stream, Turbulence, Riverside Wedding, Riverside Wedding Party, and Calm Stream.
Just making sure our mic levels are working. Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here this morning. Doesn't it feel good to be back? Right? I'm Reverend Alex. I'm the senior minister here at UUCGT. I used he and him pronouns. And welcome. It's good to be back with you after, for me, what was a pretty momentous summer. I hope it's been a fun and momentous summer for a few of you as well. On this in-gathering Sunday with our water communion, I'm glad and grateful that we're joined by my now husband, Connor, who is actually with us in our service today. He's sitting back there. So you'll have time to get to meet him, but please go easy on him, okay? We'll be having a time during our coffee hour for some cake and lemonade to celebrate our wedding just a couple of weeks ago in late August. We're just both so immensely grateful for your love and support as we embark on this next chapter of our life and relationship together. So thank you. Let's settle in now for our service as we hear these words by the Reverend Scott Taylor. In this space, carved out by our quiet connection, we give thanks for the many forms of love that have formed us. The love of family that brings us into being, allows us to bloom, and then sends us on our way with the reminder that we can return no matter what. The love of partnered hearts that teach us to trust and help us know that who we are does not end at the barrier of our own skin. The love of friends who help us feel seen and sing our song back to us when we cannot hear it with our ears alone. The love of community that bathes us in belonging and calls us to see the needs of others as our own. And the greatest love, the love that will not let us go, even in our fear, even in our failure, even when we are lonely or lost. Love invites us home, friends. If we listen, it is doing so even today. So come, hear love's call, and come, let us worship together this morning.
As we light the chalice, may we be reminded of the mission of our congregation. Please turn to the back of your order of service and join in saying our mission words together as we light our chalice. Grounded in love, we protect the web of life by building our community, making good trouble, embodying radical love, engaging in lifelong learning. Here in this place and time, may we be filled so that we may pour ourselves out into the world. And now let the singing bowl lead us into a time of stillness.
If you would now please rise in body or in spirit as we join in singing our opening song, Come Drink Deep. This is actually a song by Carolyn McDade, the same one who is the author of Spirit of Life that we sing each week. She's actually one of the co-creators of the water communion itself. So this is a really special song we get to sing. It's not available in your hymnals, but we have the illustrious VE here today that will join us in singing together, and the lyrics will also be up here on the screen. So let's join in singing.
drink deep of living waters, without cup and close to the ground. Wade with bare feet into troubled waters, where love of life abounds. Come drink deep. I turn my head to sky rays falling, wash the wounds of numbness from my soul. Turn my heart in tides of fierce renewal, where love and rage run whole. Come drink deep. Come rains of heaven on a dry sea, rains of love on every tortured land. Roots complacent awaken in compassion, so hope springs in our hands. Come drink deep. Come drink deep of living waters, without cup and close to the ground. Wade with bare feet into troubled waters, where love of life abounds. Come drink deep. I turn my head to sky rays falling, wash the wounds of numbness from my soul. Turn my heart in tides of fierce renewal, where love and rage run whole. Come drink deep. Come rains of heaven on the dry sea, rains of love on every tortured land. Roots complacent awaken in compassion, so hope springs in our hands. Come drink deep. Come drink deep.
Please be seated.
Good morning. My young friends would like to come forward. We don't have our carpet today, but we can just sort of gather up here. My name is Chelsea Bentley. I'm the Director of Religious Education here at UUCGT. Good morning. It's so good to be back with you. It's so good to see your faces. How was everyone's summer? Good? Did you get to spend any time in the water this summer? Yeah? Did we go swimming? Lots? Good. I'm so glad. I'm so, so glad. Why is water important? What do you think? What's so important about water? What's the big deal? Why do we have a whole service about water today? What? We need it to survive. Did you know that your body is mostly water? Yeah, there's a lot of water inside your body. It's pretty important, right? There's more water than other things in our bodies. There's more water than other things on our earth. Our earth is mostly water. Our bodies are mostly water. Water is pretty important, right? So So today we have this whole service about water, but I want to start by getting us all into our bodies a little bit, our bodies that are all made up of water. So adults, this is for you too. This is not just for the kids. So this is a practice that I love. We did it in a choir when I was younger, and I've always thought it was really neat. So we're going to create a thunderstorm together. So we're going to start by rubbing our hands together.
I did this in school.
You've done this in school before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All around it, like in a big circle.
And then as
My
we...
teacher starts, and then the next kid starts.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to kind of let this...
Going, and then when it gets back to the teacher.
Ada's ready. See, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We are not gonna move immediately to the next thing. So as you feel led, I'm gonna start the next thing, and then when you're ready, I want you to start. Take a deep breath together as our storms fade away. Thank you. So today I want to talk a little bit about the 4 directions. What are the 4 directions? If you look at a compass, what are the 4 directions that are on there? South, yep. North. East. West. Very good. Very good. And on our altar today, where we're going to bring up our waters, we have the 4 directions. We have the vases in each of the 4 directions. And we're going to pour our waters into the spaces that those waters came from. So if you came from the north of the church, if you got your waters maybe up in the UP, or if you got them downstate or down south in the ocean on vacation. I don't know, maybe somebody went really cool this summer. Or to the east or to the west, that's where we're going to pour our waters. But the directions are not just places on a compass. The directions also have some significance for people and for our hearts and our spirits. And in a lot of different cultures, they use different kind of representations of the elements for the different directions. But today I wanted to pull from some of the Anishinaabe tradition of our local indigenous people and talk a little bit about that, so that we can kind of bring it back to our land and this land that we are a part of now. So we start in the east. Why do you think we would start in the east? What happens in the east? Does anybody know? The sun rises in the east. So our day, every day, starts in the east. So the east is a representation of new life and of new things beginning. And it's an inspiration. And how does life start? When a human is born, what is the first thing that they do? Do you know? When a baby is born, the first thing that they do is they go, they take a breath, and then they cry. But the first thing that a human does when they are born is they take a breath. So that is the breath of life. So we start with air in the east. And that is associated with the mind, with knowledge, learning, and with curiosity. So if you think about when you're really young, when you're a baby, you're learning all these new things, and you're so curious, and you want to learn all these things about the world. And you guys are still in that kind of phase of learning all these new things, right? And it's the direction of inspiration. When we look toward the east, we are in need of renewal, a fresh start, a new breath, a new idea. We turn to the east when we're feeling stuck in a rut. If we're stuck in a routine, or if the wind has gone out of our sails, we turn to the east. And then we're going to move sort of in a circle. So then we move to the south. And the south is associated with the element of fire, because that is where the sun gets really, the southernmost point in the sky, or the southernmost point where you see the sun is usually where it's brightest and hottest. So it's associated with fire. And fire is all about transformation, right? If you think about when you're cooking with a fire, right, you're transforming things. Maybe if you've ever made caramel, if you put sugar in a pot and you whip in butter and you stir it up and it melts, right? Or if you make s'mores, when you make s'mores over the fire, you get all melty and it transforms into something really gooey and yummy and delicious. Or if you're melting metal to make something new, right? Okay, sorry, getting away from the hunger train, so sorry. Yeah, not just when you're cooking, but when you're forging something. If you're making things out of metal or glass, they use fire to transform things into something new. Or if you have clay, have you ever made like oven-baked clay?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you have clay and you bake it and it transforms it into something new, right? It's all about transformation and action and change. And then we move into the West. So in the West, we have the waters. It's all about feeling and emotion. It's a direction that calls for reflection and self-understanding. Our emotions move in us like the water, right? They move like the tides. They come in and they come out, and we feel all these things, and it moves through us. And sometimes it's calm, just like the beginning of our rainstorm, and sometimes it's turbulent and thunderous and crazy, like a rushing, raging river. But it's always flowing. So when we turn toward the West, we're looking for renewal by getting in touch with our emotions. Are you okay? Did you just snap that on yourself? Ouch. All right, so we did the East, we did the South, we did the West. What's the last one? The North. And the North is the place that holds us all. What is the place that holds us all? What element are we missing? We said air, we said fire, we said water, and you said what, Ellie? Earth. So the earth is our coming home, right? We're coming back to the place that holds us. So when we need stability, when we need grounding, when we need wisdom and balance, the earth is what we come back to. We put our feet on solid ground and know that the earth is going to hold us. So when we're looking to the north, we're looking for wisdom, we're looking for space for healing, for feeling nurtured, right? Because we get all of our good nutrients from the earth. And it's also a place of embodiment, of connecting with your physical body and yourself and the tangible, concrete world around us. So when we turn toward the north, we're seeking balance, renewal, wisdom, and rest. So I want you to think today, when you bring up your waters, we're going to stay in the service today. We're going to start Sunday school next week. But I think it's really important with this water communion that we are all a part of it together as one big church, and we come back together. So we're going to stay here, and then next week we'll start RE. But I think when we come up to do our water communion, I want you to think about what do you need from the waters today? What is the water bringing to you? What did this special water, if you brought special water today, what did that water bring to you? And what do you want to bring out into the world? All right? And we are actually changing things up also. We're not going to do a children's benediction, because you know how usually they would sing and you guys would just go running and you wouldn't even hear the song? So instead of doing that, instead of singing a whole song that nobody's even listening to, because that's silly, we are going to sing a song together as a whole church that is just for the kids. So this is going to be our song for this month, and then we'll change it up next month. Sound good? All right. Let's go ahead, Miss Anne Marie.
Us grown-ups really need your help singing this one. So if you know it, please sing very loud and help us.
Yes, this is one
And
of my
if you
favorite
don't know it
songs.
yet, you can listen and learn it, and then sing when you're ready.
If you don't know it, still sing it loud and proud. Why not? You'll catch on quick, don't worry.
Should we stand for this? Let's stand up, please, if you're willing or able. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy. Joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got love. I've got love like the ocean. I've got love like the ocean. I've got
The offering that we collect each Sunday gives us an opportunity to recommit to this place and to this people. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. The offering baskets being passed in the sanctuary have two sides, one for our community needs and the other to sustain and grow our congregation. Other ways to give are listed on the screen, and you'll be able to see those, people at home. You can mail a check to the congregation. You can give on the UUCGT website. You can give through the Vanco mobile app or the Venmo app, or you can make transfer arrangements with your bank.
So now is the time where we're going to gather and merge our shared waters together. If you brought a small amount of water with you from a place that is special to you or close to your heart, you're going to be invited in waves, no pun intended, to come forward and to put your water into one or more of these vessels in the direction corresponding to it as the music plays. You'll notice that all of our vessels are placed in the four directions, as we mentioned, and so many traditions have names and associations with each of these. Chelsea, during the Time for All Ages, shared with you a few of these, like air, breath, and inspiration with the east, fire, transformation, action from the south, water, feeling, reflection with the west, and earth, balance, and wisdom from the north. So either, if any of those directions speak to you, those are also the directions to which you can associate. In a moment, we're also going to be pouring the water into that vessel that is most resonant. So again, if there's a place from down south that you got your water, even if you got it from home, you can determine which side of town your house is and what direction kind of corresponds to that. And those of you that forgot water, don't worry. We actually have a couple of pitchers of virtual water, is what we're calling it. So if you want to pour out some water in honor of the water that you would have brought, that's a chance for you. Please take care to only pour a little bit of water each time, because we don't want those of you in the front rows to be in the splash zone a little bit. And funny enough, the water really does start to fill up quite a bit. I also want to share another note about today's water communion practice that many around our country are also observing. This comes from a note from UUs for Justice in the Middle East. In our service, some may be choosing to place empty cups next to the vessels here on the center table as an act of solidarity with 2 million Palestinians in Gaza who are currently without potable water to drink. Some may also choose to be pouring some missing water from empty cups as another gesture of this, and kind of solidarity with places around our world, not even just in Gaza, but places everywhere where water access is not always a surety. So as we're holding all of this, I invite you to think for a moment, a special or sacred place of water to you, and to see if you can picture that place in your mind's eye. Really try to experience the sensations of being there, the warmth of the sun, the gentle breeze, the smells of woods, of pine, the taste of the air. We live in a world that is thirsty, a world where many are yet still without access to water, where many live far away from the coasts or other sources of water near them, where water is used as a weapon rather than given as a human right. As we hold our own water in our hands, we give thanks for its being, for the great journey that each of these droplets and molecules have taken to be here with us in this room. We give thanks for the water that others bring, the waters that overflow from founts of blessing and abundance, from sharing of our lives with one another. We give thanks for water in dry and parched places, when we inside ourselves are exhausted, weary, and thirsty for connection and care. As we gather these waters together, let us give thanks for the gift and miracle of life, from which and into which all of our waters flow. So as we begin our ritual, I've actually saved on my shelf some water from our last water communion last year, and there's nothing growing in it, which means I boiled it well enough. Just knowing all the different things you can sometimes find. So I will start off our water with some of this water to remind us of that, and then I'll be inviting you in different waves to come forward. Thanks for that expression of beauty. Really a wonderful thing. It's our practice as a community to share our joys and concerns together each week, the milestones and moments of our lived experience, the parts of our journey that we know need to be shared with others while we are gathered, not just held on our own hearts. There are quite a few joys and concerns to share today, but if you have a joy or concern that feels a bit too heavy to share with us in our service, you're always invited to reach out to myself, to a member of the congregational care team. Would somebody from congregational care raise their hand? So there are a few members in our congregation today. Or you're just simply invited to hold it on your heart as you are held in the love that abides here. People tell me that they often repeat a line that I share each week when I'm here for the joys and concerns. And I think it's a real truism about our lives that no one is ever meant to travel life's journey alone. So know that you are welcome to be your full self here and that you do not journey alone. So would you please join me in holding these joys and concerns that we are holding together on our hearts. From Heather Shoemaker. I've just been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis in the last 2 weeks and adjusting to new ways of life. Also lighting a candle for my mother who has ALS and will be getting surgery for a feeding tube next week. I will be at the hospital in Ohio with her. And a joy for my son, whose birthday is tomorrow, Xander, who is joyfully starting his junior year at Vassar and studying music composition. He wrote his first piece played by a live orchestra this summer. We hold all of that with you, Heather. From Kim Greeby, a candle for my son, Tim, who continues to go through endless testing to determine the cause of his memory loss and other challenges. From Teresa Spihar and David Moore, as many more will do, may we wish Reverend Alex and Connor congratulations and a long lifetime together in love and health, making the dearest of memories. Well, thank you for that. Let's see here. Remembering Gabby, a dear friend of mine since we were 15 years old, who passed away a week ago in a car accident. Holding her children ages 7 and 4, who also lost their father last December. And sending prayers to her mother, who in addition to grieving her only child, is becoming a full-time caregiver to her grandsons at the age of 77. We hold that on our hearts. Barb Termott, it is a great joy to be here in person with my spiritual community. While I live in California, UUCGT remains my spiritual home. I participate in soul matters and social justice. And a happy birthday candle is lit for Linda Hebert today. Oh, it's a birthday. All Nancy Frazier needs now is your prayers and good thoughts. She has hospice and her family with her. So we hold Nancy Frazier, one of our longtime members, on our hearts. From Jan, what a joy to be a part of a community gathering yesterday in celebrating democracy. So many from UUCGT participated. From Emily Mitchell, attended services at the UU Church of Palo Alto last weekend, including a celebration of life for her beloved uncle, R.N. Clark, a longtime UU. And lastly, another concern that is on the hearts of many of us in our wider community. Our hearts are with the family in Kings Court who lost their child, an 8-year-old boy who was struck by a car on the first day of school this past Tuesday. Many in our wider community are feeling the pain and devastation of this, and so we hold that also on our hearts. And now let's just take a moment to hold all the joys and concerns that are unspoken, but yet among us and on our hearts as we are gathered together. And as you feel called or willing, I invite you into a spirit of reflection and prayer, breathing as one, taking a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. Our gathering here, our sharing of words, our experiences, our joys and sorrows bring blessings to this water. Spirit that flows through all things, add your blessing to this water and teach us its wisdom. Teach us the wisdom of water that life will have its falls, sometimes like a mountain stream tumbling over round stones, sometimes like threads of rain spun from clouds, sometimes in breathtaking cascades. Teach us the wisdom of water that each fall is finite, each ends in contact with the earth. And may we remember that we in this community are as earth to each other. We cushion each other's falls, lessening the impact, supporting one another through hard times. We are the ground of blessed community. Teach us the wisdom of water that we will rise again from each fall, sometimes like mist breathed from neighborhoods of trees. Sometimes like a geyser shouting from the earth, sometimes as imperceptibly as evaporation from the sea. Spirit of life and loving, may you be with us as we move together through life. Nourish us in the dry times and flow into us the simple abundances of life, loving, patience, and compassion. Amen. Let's join in singing our song of response, Spirit of Life. Well, I haven't been preaching in a while, so I finally have dusted off my hour-and-a-half-long sermon for you today. I've got to make up for all that time, right? No, it's going to be a short one today. Friends, this is a special moment. The water communion, one of our sacred traditions each year as UUs that we mark and celebrate, are coming back together at the start of this new congregational year. How many of you, for you, is this your first water communion service that you've ever attended? Raise your hands. Ah, this is so cool. It's so special to have those of you with us today as we celebrate this moment. Well, this is now my fourth water communion with you as your minister. I know I'm getting kind of old up here now. Hopefully not too old. Some of you who have been around here a while know that I'm a bit of a history nerd, especially a UU history nerd. You've probably known that by now. So you've already heard little bits and pieces of this story before, but I wanted to tell you about the original first water communion service. The original first water communion was actually a radical ritual that was never intended to be celebrated every year annually by congregations. Its roots are actually a bit more modest, yet ever so mighty. The first water communion came up out of women's worship circles, centering around the sacred feminine and spirituality found in water. Carolyn McDade, who you know as the author of Spirit of Life that we just sang, as well as the song Come Drink Deep that we also shared in our service, she and her friend Lucille Longview were the two women who first co-created what they called the water ritual. So not yet the water communion, but the water ritual. These UU women longed for a ritual that symbolized connectedness for all of us to one another, but also all of us to the entire planet. And so naturally, water became an inclusive symbol not only of the sacred feminine, but also of our connections to all life. Water, the perfect UU symbol. Over time, UU congregations really caught on and liked this ritual. They decided it fit as a really nice reminder of our coming together at the start of each new church year. But it's important to note the water communion's roots in rebellion. It creating a sacred space where water might speak to us about our connectedness. How each one of us is connected to a larger whole, no matter who we are or where we are on this planet. Water innately connects us, all of us. There can be no life without water. Today, UU congregations around the country and world begin the congregational year with their own in-gatherings and water communion services. All of us gather together once again to affirm the best and highest ideal that we can profess, that love be at the center of all we do. We are living in times that are counting on us to not love one another, an almost bait and switch in our shouts from street corners, whether we support this candidate or that, whether this person has it right, or whether that person ought to be shut out or even ignored. What a magnificent challenge this is to find and search for our connectedness in a socio-political environment that tempts us all too easy toward division. We all, imperfect human beings, need a reminder of what brings us together, of what it is that we affirm and profess as a faith, that what is perhaps needed most in this time is not more division, finger-pointing, and blame, but instead a radical act of coming together. This is the vital challenge of our time. In these strange times we find ourselves in, a chance for us to refuse to be divided and to find the ways in which love itself invites us back toward one another. Water itself knows this challenge, and I believe offers us a unique symbol of what it is we might bring to this world that we find today as strange, strained, and thirsty for connection. So that's my message for you today. 3 aspects of water that just might call you to renewed depths as we start and recommit ourselves again to this new year together. What does water have to teach us? Let's dive right in. There's going to be plenty of water puns. You're going to be flooded. Don't say I didn't warn you. The first aspect of water that I'd like to highlight is that water is really sticky. Yes, you've heard that right. Water is really, really sticky. Anything that touches water is bound to get wet, and there are these special bonds between water molecules that make it so that water adheres and literally sticks to most things, almost anything magnetically. These hydrogen bonds cause water to cling, and it can cling to things anywhere from the leaves of plants to our dishes, even our hair getting fresh out of the shower. It's just sticking and clinging to everything. Water's stickiness teaches us that its natural tendency is to join back with itself, and it's coming back together. Through rain, evaporation, and condensation, it flows through a cycle of renewal that causes it to bind with itself through all of those transformations and stages. So the first spiritual element of water is that it's sticky. I don't think you were expecting to hear that today. It physically clings to itself and to things with bonds that are really hard to break. We might work on our own stickiness with one another. Our goal to be in relationship and to stick things out with bonds that are really hard to break. The second spiritual aspect of water is that water itself is sacred, but said and thought of another way, water is scarce. I know that I'm living here in Michigan with all of this fresh water all around us, but trust the recovering Californian that true, clean, and fresh water is nothing to be taken for granted. Water is a common element that links together ecosystems and all life on our planet, from snowy mountains all the way to desert valleys. In parts of our world with our changing climate, there remain places where water is scarce, where rivers are drying up, where sources of clean water are polluted or are even unsafe for human beings to drink. And there are places where water is hoarded and sometimes weaponized, like in Gaza, where over 2 million people are currently without access to drinkable water. Water is immensely valuable, and it's intrinsically set apart from the other needs of our lives and living. That's another way that you can view the word sacred, something that is set apart from everyday life. It is one of the most fundamental needs and requirements for human life and for all life. A human being can only live about 3 whole days without drinking water. Just take a moment to imagine the places in this world where people are thirsty and without water to drink. The horror to endure a life where you live day to day, not knowing when your next sip of clean water will come. Water itself is sacred. It is not yet a guarantee for every human being on this planet, even though it should be. So the third and final aspect of water is that water always finds a way. Water will always find a way back to its source, but it will always find ways through what are seemingly impossible challenges. Those of you that have ever stood at the bottom of a fjord or a glacial valley know this, where over tens of thousands of years, water in the form of compacted snow slowly etches and carves its way through mountains and rivers. One of the cool things that Connor and I got to do on our trip to Alaska this summer was getting to see some of these really cool old glaciers, so that was fun. Water finds its way into the cracks of rocks and other small and tiny places where it freezes and then even expands and sometimes even breaks things open. You homeowners with ice dams of your roofs also know, unfortunately, this problem. So no matter where water is at any given time on our planet, it will eventually return to the ocean, back to its source. It always finds a way back to its center, much like we return each year as separate individuals, separate droplets, back into the collective of our shared community. Water always finds a way back to its source, something that in this Soul Matters month of invitation, I invite you to think about for yourself as well. So to close, as we mark the beginning of another year together here at UUCGT, I hope you truly remember how important it is that we keep coming back together each week as we do. What we do as a community and what we do as a church is countercultural. It's against the tides and waves of growing divisiveness and separation that would be all too easy to flow with. Instead, the water calls us to something greater. It calls us to remember our roots, to remember our sources and the spiritual founts that have formed us into being. As you recommit yourself to this community, this ocean of opportunity, I told you there'd be more, I invite you to drink deep of the living waters that sustain you. What we have to offer here is sticky. It is sometimes scarce and hard to find in our world. It may even break us open. Yet somehow, it always finds a way to bring us home. Love, my friends, radical love. That is the magic that you are called to grow in this year once again, for yourself, for one another, and for our hurting world. So will you accept this invitation? To you I say, come on in, the water is fine. All right, I'm done now, I'm in. Let's take a moment to just hold a moment of stillness together. So having gathered these waters as both your minister and witness, I recognize these waters as blessed by the love and intentions that we have brought together here. May we be reminded of the preciousness of life and the abundance found in sharing these waters, reminding us that we never travel life's journey alone. After our service concludes, Chelsea, you might have noticed in the center of our table here, there's actually a bunch of these little water bottles with a little stopper in it. If you'd like to actually take a little bit of this shared water with you from a direction that is meaningful to you, a direction that you might need a little more support from or inspiration from, you're going to be welcome to do that following our service today. So now let us sing our closing hymn, number 1064, Blue Boat Home. This is an old favorite for some of you. Naturally, it fit with the whole water theme. So let's go ahead and rise in body or in spirit and join in singing together.
Releasing the chalice flame represents our departure from this sacred space, filled with hope for new beginnings. Go forth, but return to this community, where rivers of tears may be shed, where dry souls are watered, where your joy bubbles, where your cup of life overflows.
It is your favorite weekly ritual of the great litany of announcements. I promise I'll try to keep things moving. We do have a few announcements for you this week. So again, you're invited to join us for some cake and lemonade, and also to get to meet and greet both Connor and myself. But remember to go easy on him again, and just be gentle. The Social Justice Action Team invites you to join Mary Van Valen Monday morning from 10 a.m. to noon for socializing and writing some postcards. There will be no evening postcard writing sessions, and Mary is over here, so feel free to talk to Mary if you're interested in writing some postcards. After the service on September 22nd, so in a couple of weeks, we'll be holding our first UU orientation of the year. So that's for those of you that are interested in learning more about our congregation, getting more involved. If you're curious about Unitarian Universalism, what the whole alphabet soup of that name means, that is a great opportunity for you to learn more. There's no commitment to actually becoming a member. We also have opportunities here where you can learn about becoming more of a friend. So we just invite you, so in a couple of weeks, you can join us after our service for our orientation. Our next new member ceremony, this is exciting. It'll be on October 20th during the Sunday service, where we get to welcome some other folks to join us formally as members. So if you've been considering membership or you're interested in doing that, you still have a couple of weeks or a few weeks to get those requirements for membership done on your pathway to membership. In October, we're going to be trying to hold our Starting Points program for those who are interested in going deeper into UU. So that's another engagement opportunity, not just for newcomers, but folks that have been around as UUs for a while but want to go deeper into that. This will be a 4-week seminar that we hold after the Sunday service from 12 to 2 p.m. You are not required to go to all 4. You're welcome to. You can come to as many or as few as you'd like, and we're still looking for a few more signups for that. So please see Chris Lautz if you're interested in Starting Points. Lastly, we're going to be updating our directory with a new member and friend information. So those of you that haven't yet filled out one of our newer forms for member information, please do visit the welcome table back there and fill out one of our new forms. We're trying to make sure that we have all the information updated and accurate. So if you haven't filled out a form in the last year, it's probably a good time to stop by that table. And feel free to turn those forms into the office once you're done with them. All right, I'm done with all the announcements. If you would please now rise and join hands as you're comfortable. We also have the wonderful symbol of please do not touch me. You can outstretch your hands like this. This is an opportunity where you can just kind of connect with somebody, virtually from afar. Those of you online are also welcome to outstretch your own hands if you're joining us. And in the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, and in the spirit of these shared waters we've now emerged, may we be made ready to serve one another and create the world we so desperately dream of. Go ahead and pass a squeeze to your neighbor and go in peace.
Thank you.